Welcome back to another episode of Meredyth with a Y. I am your host, Meredyth Willits, and today I have on Chad Kultgen again. I know I'm saying it wrong. I had him on TikTok Famous, and we were talking about the necessary conversation, and we went left and started talking about spirituality, and I loved it so much. I invited him
Yeah.
back. So here we go. Stay with us.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Meredyth with a Y, and I am your host, Meredyth Willits. Today, we are going to go deep, changing lives, and I am giving you the keys to the castle. You know I have the best music. I see you over there bobbing and weaving.
Where'd you get that music from, may I ask?
I bought it off of one of those music places like 4
Yeah.
years ago, and so now I
Same.
own it.
I did that same thing for Necessary Conversation. We have kind of a little, patriotic kind of March theme or whatever. But now with AI, I'm just like, I should have done that.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually for me, it was, I think, not very expensive 4 years ago. Now, if you go on there and try to buy music, it's like a couple $100, and then you have to pay like monthly royalties or something. I
Yeah.
paid once and it's mine. So I kind of parlayed it over to TikTok Famous. I'm using it over there too. But okay. So you and I, we talked about the necessary conversation. We
Yes.
talked about all the things over on TikTok Famous. But then we went left, and it was like we were on our own planet. I don't even know if that episode, I don't even think it's live yet. And we were talking about spirituality. And like I said in the beginning of TikTok Famous, there's something about you that just resonated with me when I watched your podcast
Right.
and your TikToks. I'm like, bro, something. And then you're like, start talking about like astral travel during the TikTok. I'm like, wait, this might be it. It's like this, like we might have a lot going on in common.
Sure.
Can you give me background on your non-spiritual whatever journey and how we got to our conversation last time?
Yeah, I mean, my parents raised me as a little kid to be Catholic, and I had to go to Sunday school and all that kind of shit. I rejected all of that pretty early on, somewhere in junior high, I think, as most kids who will reject these things do, and became, just a hardcore atheist, materialist. If you can't see it, if science can't measure it, it doesn't exist, and kind of accepted that party line that any spiritual encounter or experience any person could possibly have was a figment of the imagination, a hallucination, was not real.
Yeah.
Then I don't know when this started happening. I would say somewhere probably maybe 6 to 10 years ago. And maybe that to some degree, I haven't really thought about this much, but maybe that also coincides with me getting diagnosed with cancer at roughly at the same time. I'm not sure. There were some things during cancer, some weird kind of experiences that maybe played into it. But I think it was more coincidental, actually, that around that same time, I started to become aware of certain science things happening, especially in like physics, quantum physics specifically, that talked about like information, like quantum entanglement, basically things that are happening outside of the kind of regularly accepted ideas of what physics is or what any of reality is. And so I started kind of going down that path, and there started to be a weird kind of bleed over with a lot of experimental physicists talking about using mathematical formulae to find things outside of space-time. And I started to get into the idea of like, oh shit, there's something beyond like literal physical material and time that there, and maybe the fundamental kind of reality, the underpinning of all of this is some other thing. And once you open that door with a question, I think it's very easy to step through and start seeking the answers, or maybe think you found some, or whatever the case may be. And then I just had some personal experiences. Like I said, during cancer, I had a couple of, for the first time in my life, sleep paralysis experiences where I woke up and there was shit in the room with me, like things looking at me. And I was like, oh, what are these things? And that kind of kicked me down, like a different path. And coincidentally, or if you believe in coincidence or synchronicity or whatever, I was at a party at some point around that time, and a friend of mine brought up that he had the Gateway tapes. And I had just read a huge thing online about, for those who don't know, Gateway is this program developed by this guy, Bob Monroe, who is kind of famous for having had multiple out-of-body experiences. He wrote a book about it. and he developed this system with these basically playing like two tones, a different one in each ear that are 10 hertz apart, and your brain kind of fills in the gap. I mean, this is like really
Yeah.
boiling it down, but please research it. It's called Gateway. And in that
Because you can
filling,
access all of this online, and then it will take you
yeah,
to the tapes, and then you download the tapes, and then you can listen to these. I think there's 6 of them ish.
there's way more.
Oh, is
There are
there?
6 in quotes CDs of them, but each CD has like 6 or 7 different
Oh, okay.
meditations on it. So it's all of these different meditations that kind of build on each other, and they are meant to train you essentially how to astral project, have an out of body
Mhm.
experience, whatever. Like at the kind of final phases, that's what it's trying to get you to do. And so I started messing around with those and started seeing shit. Like, I don't know how else to put it, you know. And I still am not like adept at it by any means. I have not, to my knowledge, had an out of body experience yet. And everything I've read about that is like, if you have one, you'll know. So I'm waiting, you know, for that and trying to get to that end. But I certainly have, in the process of doing those meditations, you know, seen crystal clear images of like a what seems to be a very specific person doing a very specific task, or a specific location, or a license plate. Or I remember one time just like kind of being in a room with a family while they were eating dinner, but it was like crystal clear. It was like I was
Right.
there, you know, not like a dream, or I'm
Well, that
thinking
would
about
be
it.
astral travel.
I guess, but like I'm still at the phase where I'm like, is it, or is it just my brain making shit up, you
Right,
know?
right. Yeah. So I had cancer 5 years ago. Another
Okay,
thing.
weird. Yeah.
Um, I kind of I'm very scientific based myself.
Mhm.
So it's like when I started doing the whole energy mediumship stuff, it did not start that way. It was, I had Lyme disease. I could have, would you be interested in weird, I went, it's dumb. And then send your photo and your symptoms. Uh-oh, you're breaking up.
You're
Send your
breaking up for
photo
me
and
too a little
symptoms
bit.
to am I really?
Yeah,
Hopefully they're getting it.
yeah.
To this lady in North New York, and I was like, okay, maybe she's gonna scan it through some scanner or something. I don't know what she's doing with it. And so I did that, and she sent me this bottle of water, and I took it. And every time I took it, I could feel my throat doing something weird and my back doing something weird, like tingling or twitching. And
Mhm.
I'm like, so I call her and I'm like, what's in this? She's like, water. I'm like, okay. So I know it's it. And so I call her like a month later, and I had her send one for Jim with his symptoms. Same thing, water. Now, mind you, I have had back pain. I have like verified Western medicine herniated discs. I have
Mhm.
never had a problem with them since that day. And this has
Wow.
been 17 years. So I finally call her and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I need to know everything about it.
Mhm.
And so I like ordered the books, I ordered the kits, and I'm learning all about it. But I don't know what I'm doing. I
Yeah.
just am following the procedures. And so basically what it is when you look at the person's name with their birth date on it, you're tapping into their energy.
Mhm.
But I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I was just following directions, right? That's all
Yeah.
I'm doing is following what they're telling me to. And I'm doing this, which is like an advanced kinesiology, and I'm looking at their photograph and I'm going through and testing all this shit. And then you put it on this plate and it takes the information from these little vials. So
Mhm.
when you write on anything, okay, so let's say you have a glass of water and you write on that. That water takes on the frequency of that word. That word in the three-dimensional holds a frequency. So, like the word liver, your
Mhm.
liver has a frequency. Your eyes have a frequency. The word hate has a frequency. The word love has a frequency. So each of these vials has water in it. And
Mhm.
it has like all these different bacteria and fungus and illness and body parts. And there's like thousands of them. And so then you do this whole thing. Long story short, I'm like, wait a minute. I just tapped into a woman's physical issues using little water vials with words written on them. And then I sent her a bottle, and now she's healed. And it happened to me, and I had no idea. So I had no preconceived notion of what was going to be in this bottle. I just wanted it to fix
Yeah.
me. And I'm like, wait a minute. How in the hell am I tapping into this woman? Because now I'm starting to figure out like what I'm doing. I've got clients in California. I've got clients overseas. I've got clients close by. I actually diagnosed a family member who they knew what was wrong with them. I had no clue.
Wow.
And they freaked out that she thought that I figured it out, but I was
Yeah.
just going with these crazy ass files. And so I'm laying in bed one night and I'm like, wait a minute. If energy is neither created nor destroyed, and I'm tapping into a living person's energy, then that means dead people's energies are out there. I wonder if I can tap into them too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching Nancy Grace, and I'm like, there was that one little girl that was stole from Portugal.
I don't remember this, but okay.
She was a little girl. They left her in the house, in the condo on vacation, and they went and ate dinner. And she got stolen out of her apartment. I can't think of her name. Anyways, I tapped into her energy. Never a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Bad idea. I went into like a 2-week psychosis because I experienced
holy shit
what she was experiencing. Okay.
Yeah.
Bad idea. And I was like, holy crap. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to tap into my grandpa and see if he has a message from my dad. Now, no one knows I'm doing any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call my dad. I'm like, did you have a bank like as a little kid that looked like this and all this other? He's like, yeah. How do you know that? And I'm like, I'm doing this. Holy shit. I'm doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And because I have no way of knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw my dad on the floor, like playing with this dog bank as a little kid. And I was experiencing my grandmother who passed away before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I was seeing all of this in my mind's eye, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then I started working on like emotional release and tapping into people's emotions. Like, and all of this you can be taught, just like you are with these tapes. And so I'm very like, I have to touch the stove. I have to know the stove is hot.
Sure.
Right. You know, like I just am that person. And so I learned this by way of, I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if that's possible. Like that type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now when I do it, like, cause I do psychic work and I do mediumship, psychic's easier, by the way. Just because of ego, you're like, oh, I have to tap into a dead person. And it's just like tapping into a living person. Absolutely no difference.
Yeah.
Except for the difference is a dead person will show up as they were on Earth so that you can verify that it's them. And then a lot of times they will switch over to who they are in the afterlife, which is full of love. So they'll show up just so I can go, your dad's a curmudgeon, right? And then you're like, yes, he was. And then all of a sudden, then he's like, I played a role. Anyways, that's how that happened for me. Like I had no idea that these things were possible. I'm the biggest skeptic. If I couldn't do it myself, I'd say it's all bullshit. 100%. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I guess I'm somewhat similar. Like it did take some personal experiences of my own to kind of like get me to be even open to the idea that any of this is possible. But I will also say, once you're open to the idea of it, there are a lot of things that any kind of spirituality in any kind of global world culture that has ever existed, I always chalked up to like, it's bullshit. It's either like an organized attempt by certain people to control a population. It's, a kind of more rudimentary understanding of existence that, happened before science really was as good as it was, whatever. I had all these excuses for these things, but once that door is open, once you accept or believe that like it's possible that there are things that exist in our realm of reality that cannot be explained by science and that have some kind of spiritual component, you have to now go back and look at all that other shit that you've said was complete trash and made no sense. Because it's like, well, wait a minute though. At least to our knowledge, every recorded world culture has some element of spirituality in it. Whether that's like some giant organized religion or just some kind of spiritual practice that's handed down through generations or whatever. And most of these cultures also have like written accounts of interactions with angels, deities, entities, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
But like, I think the kind of reframing of it through modern science, through, to some degree, I guess, modern spirituality and just like the realm of human consciousness, so that it's not necessarily angels and demons or whatever, but it's like, yes, there are probably other versions of consciousnesses, we'll say, that can exist in this realm of consciousness, where, by the way, every one of us goes every goddamn night when we sleep. That to
Yep.
me is kind of like one of the biggest components of this, is that like dreams are ignored and have been scientifically forever, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that we just write that off as like, yeah, whatever. We all go to sleep and go to some other place, and it seems very real while we're there, but don't worry about that. Then you wake up and
Yeah.
go to work and pay your taxes, and it's like, well, wait though. This other place that we go to, where like
Do we have
physics don't
conversations
matter
about that?
and all
Right.
this shit, yeah. And you hear of people obviously having like dreams that can foretell the future, or link them with a family member, or whatever the case may be. Just these strange experiences that people have that are related to human consciousness. Once you kind of have a couple yourself, you're forced to reconcile like whatever your prior beliefs were with the certain firsthand knowledge that like, I saw a fucking thing standing in my bedroom
Yeah.
looking at me. What
Yeah.
was that?
And I still remember it a decade later or
Yeah,
whatever.
vividly.
Like, that's the
Vividly. Yeah.
difference between a visitation or an astral travel, I tell
Uh-huh.
people, versus a dream. A dream, you like might get snippets when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I think I had a dream about, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. And I remember a visitation or a travel, you're like, and then this happened. And then they said, you know what I mean? Like, you
Sure.
remember it the rest of your life. Like, you can go
Yeah.
back there and experience your grandparent who had a visitation with you on the beach during the middle of a dream. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing to me, though, and I know you'll agree with me, spirituality pushes self-power,
Mhm.
self-reflection, whereas religion is like, come here, give me 10%, I will save you from the very demon I'm scaring you with. Like,
Yeah.
religion, in my opinion, it could be good, but of course we humanize it and make people afraid, and like salvation and all these things. It's like
Yeah.
spirituality is like, or at least Christian religion,
Yeah.
spirituality is like, empower yourself. The God lives within you. Your body is your temple. And you know what I mean? It's a very different power.
Well, I think like all religions are, in my opinion, they're just kind of systems of putting the rules of how to astral project, or what you should believe, or what the entities are, angels or gods or whatever. It's just putting them in some kind of a framework that makes it like a very regimented thing that you can read and understand and whatever. Then you have the other component of it, which is money, and that corrupts every system.
Every system.
Religion is not immune, obviously. So I think like at its core, any religion, it's just kind of, I mean, like I would argue what I'm doing with these gateway tapes. It's not like a formalized religion per se. They don't have they're not tax free. The United States government doesn't recognize it as a religion, but it is this system of rules that kind of outlines what they're trying to do in terms of like a spiritual practice. I would consider that to be to some degree a religion. There's no like central deity. There's no creation myth. It lacks some of the things that most normal, in quotes, religions have, but
But
I
don't
don't
you
know.
think that's more of a tool? Like here's the step-by-step process to get out of your ego. I mean, basically
Mhm.
what those tapes do is ketamine. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
totally. Totally. But I mean, I think like the 10 commandments are that as well. Here's 10 steps to get to heaven, to get to enlightenment, to get to, the sweet hereafter, whatever you want to call it. It's all to me, at least as I am framing it now, this is just my own personal belief. Obviously,
great.
everybody has their own, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, it's kind of like what I've recognized in all these various systems is they offer a path to return to the source,
Yeah.
whatever that is. If it's a god in a religion, or a specific like Jesus or whatever, it's a path to get to heaven, or to get back to what I think is the fundamental kind of like underlying. I don't even know how to describe any of this, but I think what is underneath whatever this shit is, what we think is reality, is kind of like a pure consciousness field or something. And I do think we all go back to that. So, I think there are different interpretations of it, but like to me, all religions are like basically to that end, to say what you're doing here has some kind of a purpose. There are rules to it, whatever those rules may be. Every religion is slightly different, obviously. And if you do the rules right, you will get to return back to this, everlasting kind of realm of love and peace and all of that, which is heaven or whatever you want to call it. But
To
I
me,
think
though,
we're all
then the
kind of
next
seeking that.
question is where's heaven? To me, through my learning and doing all the
Mhm.
things, what Jesus came to talk about is heaven on earth. I think that heaven or hell are on earth. And if you follow the 10 commandments, you're going to be either heaven on earth or hell on earth.
Mhm.
Because when you return back to non-physical form, right? So now we're going to take away the body. We're going to go back to that spirit thing that I'm tapping into,
Yeah.
that we're all tapping into at times. How do you send protons and neutrons and electrons to some hell? And if God knows every hair on your head, then he would not want you to suffer. And he knows you're going to be a son of a bitch on earth. And so, like, no father would ever do that. So I always look at heaven and hell as a place we get to on earth by way of doing the things that you and I are talking about,
Mhm.
and deciding, like, don't covet, because if when you covet, you're wanting something that's not yours. So like what I think it's Eckhart Tolle, it's like the power of now. Like, whatever you have now, be grateful for it, and then more things to be grateful will come to you. And so in being in a state of gratitude and
Mhm.
clarity in the now versus wishing you had that over there creates instant suffering. As soon as you want what someone else has, you begin suffering, right? And
Mhm.
so to me, it's a tool to have heaven here. After here, there is nothing else. There's just love, there's just energy, there's being reborn again as an alien or another human or a
Yeah.
dog or whatever. So I look at that as why would someone like Jesus or Buddha say, okay, I'm going to come here to show you how to live so that when you die it's good? It's like, no, I came here to show you how to live and find heaven in the
Mhm.
temple on earth right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I this is something that I kind of like think about pretty frequently. Like, what is our purpose here in this, what we consider to be a physical manifestation of ourselves and all of this, versus
Yeah.
does it even matter if once you die, you do get reincarnated or you get reabsorbed into the big river that's flowing through the
Yeah.
universe or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever your version of it is, what's the point of this? And there are a lot of like,
Experience. I think
but
it's to
what's the point
find
of that?
self. It's so the way that I see it, based on
Mhm.
almost 2 decades of doing this nonsense, it's like every experience that we have allows us. So, like, when you judge someone,
Mhm.
okay, within like minutes or years, you will experience that which you judged
Mhm.
in one way, shape, or form, either by way of your children, your parents, yourself. You'll have somewhere to figure out that judgment. And so the end all be all is love, unadulterated love, right?
Mhm.
And so every time you go through these things, you're like, "Oh, now I get it. Now I have compassion. Now I have
Yeah.
empathy." And so you're broken up over and over. If you don't follow the 10 commandments, right, of love, and you do the judging and you do the suffering and you do the coveting and you do all those things, what happens is it's like a hangover. You do the thing, and then throughout the universe, somehow it comes back, and then you go, "Oh, now I get it." Like, when I see all these people judging a lot of times on social media, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, that one's gonna hurt. Like, that's gonna come
Yeah.
back bad." And and so the idea is to keep getting closer to love and closer to understanding and closer to clarity and closer to lack of judgment, so that you can be how a lot of times I actually see you on your podcast laughing about the things that so many of us would be. And maybe you are in pain when your dad's a turd, but, like, you're kind of like observing it from the observer's perspective without judgment and still filled with love. That's what I love
Mhm.
about your podcast, is when I see you talking to your dad, so many of us would be just like stuck in our egos, stuck in our
Mhm.
three-dimensional. But like the Buddha, you're like, "Okay, I'm not
Uh,
shitting you. I'm not blowing
Okay.
smoke. I'm telling you what I'm seeing.
Right. Well,
And
thank
so
you.
you're transcending the three-dimensional ego of judgment and wishing maybe you had a different dad, or maybe wishing that things weren't politically. You're just in it. You're experiencing it, maybe with or without judgment. The fact that you can laugh a lot of times, to me, allows me to see you as kind of transcending it, which is why I'm so excited we're talking about this with each other. And so that's kind of the thing, is to get out of that ego of attachment. I have to be right. My dad has to be wrong.
Right.
And so that you can kind of like, I don't know if the word is float, but have heaven on earth, be in the world, but not of the world.
Sure. I mean, I definitely have learned how to dissociate from whatever we perceive this reality to be
Yeah.
at an early age. And I view essentially everything that I'm ever involved with as basically a TV show that I'm a character
This
in or a viewer of.
is
And
science experiment.
yeah, basically, like I just I don't feel a lot of like personal attachment to my own existence, basically, I'll say.
But that's crazy. You do know that no one does that.
I think plenty of people do it at
No.
different times. I think you're forced to do it if you're going through some kind of horrible trauma or something
Well,
like that,
yeah.
you know?
People disassociate during abuse,
Yeah, of course.
trauma, things of that. But I don't, I think people are so ingrained
Mhm,
that this is who I am. It's black and white. These are my beliefs. They make up my personality. My personality is real. I have
mhm,
to defend it at all costs. This is why we're where we're at, I think, right now in the world, is that it's so black and white that people can't get outside of themselves. But the fact that you're able to view it and go, none of this shit's real. And so I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm not going to attach my personality and my ego to it. That is, no one does that, Chad.
but what I wanted to get at is, like, what is the point of that? If the point of all of this, as you're saying, is to kind of, like, to detach and to have a kind of bird's eye view of what this is so that you're not, like, super personally, emotionally invested in things that may be bad or, whatever the case may be. So we get to that point. Let's say that we can all get to this point of extreme enlightenment where we are completely detached and we view things in a very objective manner, no personal emotional reaction. We get to that point and then we die and then we get what, reincarnated to do it all over again, and we forget all of that we learned. Like, that is kind of where I'm at now with it, is like I'm 100% certain, again, based on my own personal kind of experiences, that there is some other shit on top of all of this, or underneath all of this, however you want to look at it, outside of reality, whatever the fuck this thing is that we're in. Maybe it,
Simulation.
sure, maybe it's a simulation. I mean, at the very least, it's data. We're very aware of that.
Yeah.
That's 100% accurate. And so it becomes like, what is the purpose of this? And obviously this is a question that that no one has been able to answer since the dawn of humanity. Why are we here? What are we doing? But the idea that, like, there is some um goal of becoming more enlightened, I almost feel like that maybe that's not it, that some of us are doing that, or there is a push to do that anyway, and it's because there's something, like, and I don't know. I mean, this is just me, like, bullshitting now, but,
Yeah.
like, I do think that our bodies, including our brains, are kind of like cars. They're just machines that are, like, tapping into whatever the frequency is that gives us a little shot of consciousness, and, oh shit, we're alive now. Um, that said, uh, what is that kind of, like, trying to become enlightened is almost like, I think, a byproduct of it. I think the machine is a little bit faulty and we're not supposed to be able to do that shit. I don't think we're supposed to be able to astral project and read minds and make water that can heal people's backs. I think that's just kind of like we're figuring it out. It's like when you're in your car and you're driving and you're like, oh shit, I slipped it out of gear. It wasn't supposed to do that, but now I'm
Right.
going faster. Oh, that's kind of cool. I feel like it's maybe that. And that if there is any purpose to this, if there is some kind of, like, and when I say higher power, I don't mean God necessarily, but some other conscious entities that are looking at what's going on here and are potentially in control of it, or at the very least are have more powers in it than we do in terms of
Yeah.
influence, then we may be here to serve some purpose to that thing, whatever that is. And I don't think that purpose is necessarily enlightenment, I guess. Otherwise, why wouldn't that be more prevalent?
Well, they've talked about, like, a lot of the reading that I've done, it's talks about how, like, Earth is the most difficult school because of
Mm,
emotion. And so, like,
yeah.
there's other energies and beings around,
Mm,
and this is the toughest. This is the most dense. This is the one that
mm,
we come to and forget everything. But when we forget everything, it's because if we had all the answers, which, for example, so like if I'm doing a psychic reading for somebody, so they want to know something, a lot of times I can see everything.
mm,
But there's sometimes that's just like, I can't see that, which to me tells me immediately that's something that you came here to experience. So I
mm.
can't give you the answers because otherwise that's one of the things you came here, you wanted to learn about.
Yeah.
Um, so for example, when you talk about like, is enlightenment the end game and what's the point of being here? And if we forget, do we have to do it all over again? I look at it with reincarnation is that we kind of like, it's like Mario Brothers. We go to the next level. We
Mm,
don't need to do that again. And I see people do this in life. Like, for example, like yourself, you've had a lot of different careers, a lot of different jobs, a lot of different things. Would you need to go back and write the book you wrote 20 years ago?
mm.
No, that's dumb. You've done that, but now you're doing something new and then you're doing
Yeah.
something again. And so you can have many lifetimes, and most people do, in one lifetime and knock a lot of shit out.
Mm,
Or you can be stuck and just keep making the same mistake over and
yeah.
over and over again. It's like this, the people that date the same wrong partner, and you're like, oh
Mm,
my God, why do they not see that? And that's how I kind of look at life or reincarnation. You would be reincarnated and do a totally different experience. You might be a Black woman, you might
mm.
be a Hispanic man, and you need to like understand that perspective. So it's not that you're just, forgetting everything and have to do it again. It's a totally different ball game, just like you wouldn't write the book again.
Yeah.
It's different.
But do you think, like, to what end? I guess my question is this. Do you think that we are these individual entities and that persists beyond death or even through reincarnation? Or is it that we are all part of a kind of, not even a collective, a big single unified thing that breaks little pieces of itself off to
Yeah.
have these different experiences?
Yeah. I look at it B.
Okay.
So we are individual, but we are made up of the whole. So when someone's like, is my mom with me that passed away when I think of her? I explain we live within them.
Hmm.
So they are the R and we are inside of the whole,
Hmm.
right? And so that is why, like, yes, so we are our own entity. When I do mediumship, I just made a video on this recently. I'm tapping into the part of myself that is them.
Hmm.
That's why it's easy to do because I understand that. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, let me wiggle over and become Tom that died in, 1960. Okay, let me find him. Okay, XYZ. Um, and I believe it's for the sake of, see, what I'm tapping into, when you're talking now, all of a sudden I'm starting to tap into things. And
Hmm.
so what they're showing me in this moment when you were talking about like, what's the purpose? If we are part of a whole, and
Hmm.
that whole is the end all be all of all, what they're showing me right now is expansion. So it's like the more we experience, the bigger it gets. Like, have you ever seen where they're like, oh, there's a black hole and it's getting bigger
Hmm.
or whatever? That's kind of the way they're showing it
Yeah.
to me right now, is that as it expands, the universe expands, everything expands. So it's just like all is expanding when you and I expand. And so
Hmm.
there is an end game ish to the idea of us being there. And what they're saying is right now, see, you're getting a little reading right this second,
I love it. This
is
is great.
that they're showing me is that like every time you learn something, it peels back. And the reason they're peeling back right now, the veil, if you will, like you're saying, we're getting closer, we're
Hmm.
learning more things. It's become like astral travel, even though they're like, yeah, well, that those things are like decades old, but they're making it necessary for us to be able to see this, because the next step with AI is going to like transform everything from like the industrial age to like this new next chapter.
Yeah.
And so the reason the veil is lifting and you and I and so many people are becoming like adept at this. And they keep talking about Nikola Tesla. So I'd be interested if you have, the whole time you're talking, they're like, Nikola Tesla used to dream and imagine all of his inventions down to the one like hundredth
Yeah.
of a, and he would invent everything in his dreams. But it's the reason that the veil is thinning is because what is about to happen is going to change so much that we're not in the industrial age. We need to be more in the spiritual age where like
Mhm.
we are talking without talking, we're connected without connecting. And all the things that we're doing in social media, all of this stuff is preparing us for the next step. Like what our kids,
That's
what we
interesting.
need to know is very different than what our kids need to know. It's the exact
Yeah.
same thing. We needed to know to build bridges is very different than what we need to know right now to do the next AI shit.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I am constantly thinking about that too. I'm a very big technologist, if nothing else. I love AI. I know some people hate it or fear it or whatever, but I see it as the most revolutionary technology probably that we will have ever made. Maybe aside from like the written word, but yeah, I'm fascinated with where that is taking us as a society and how that kind of crosses with all the spiritual stuff. Because, like I said, for me anyway, kind of a very big part of me accepting that maybe this type of shit is real or whatever had to do with like some quantum theory stuff that was going on. I don't, maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. I remember reading some stuff and I was just like, wait a minute, what? Like where human consciousness can affect the outcomes
Effects.
of things, like
Yeah.
observation can affect literal physical things, random number generators or whatever. Um, and if that's true, and it seems very likely that it is based on literal research, then you have to kind of reconcile with the fact that like human consciousness is some other shit. It
Yeah.
there are like psychic powers, at least in terms of those early scientific experiments, are like to some degree real. Maybe not in the way that we see them in movies and all this kind of shit, but like that our minds or whatever you want to call it can affect the physical world we're in. That just opens up a whole new door of like, well, how much can it affect it? Has it created it all? I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of scientists now, these are like theoretical physicists, but they're talking about uh finding these objects outside of space-time, and many of them believe space-time is not real at this
Mhm.
point, that this is all some kind of manufactured thing. Again, whatever it is, a computer simulation, or we're just building it with our minds or whatever. At the very
So,
least.
like, when you just said that, they're like, "Yes, yes, that's the thing." Like, so if you
Okay.
imagine graph paper
Uh-huh.
10-dimensional, like,
Yeah.
that's the only way I can describe what they just said. When you just said whatever the hell you just said, what they were like is like, "Yes, that's it." It was like, yes,
Yeah.
as like our brains keep manifesting and keep thinking and keep learning,
Mhm.
we're growing, and then they keep showing it like this whole graph like rolling out, like you are creating the universe.
Mhm.
And so when you imagine it, it like rolls out more universe and rolls out more universe. So like every time you imagine something, and we're co-creating with like these entities like you were talking about, they're showing it's like there's like these all these entities with us, and they're like planting ideas. So did you ever hear about how Prince was being interviewed?
Mhm.
And he said, yeah, sometimes I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'll call my band and I'll call my, the team, and we'll go record a song at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the interviewer was like, why? And
Mhm.
he was like, because Michael Jackson got the same song at 3 o'clock in the morning. And if I don't record it, he's going to wake up and record it.
Yeah.
And that's how like it is. It's just like all these people are given 10,000 people are giving thoughts in the middle of the night or in the
Mhm.
daytime. And that's why they say put a journal next to your bed,
Sure.
because that's when you're getting these downloads. And so, but like, you know, go record the song, go create the book, go create the podcast or whatever.
Mhm.
And they'll give it to people that they know will do it.
But
There's a
then,
lot
I
of
mean,
people with great voices,
yeah,
but
I certainly have this exact same experience. Every artistic endeavor I've ever had or done, I feel like was not my own. It's just, came from somewhere else, whatever.
right. It's
Um,
like out of your brain. You're like, bloop, go to write this. And you're like, okay.
yeah. But then my question is like, well, why though? If we're just vessels to like perform these actions that are dripped into our brains while we're sleeping or in some kind of meditative state or whatever the case may be, what's our purpose in that? Like, can these entities not interact with the physical world? Are we the machine that can do that? And so they have to use us to, lay the pavement to build the road because they can't touch the pavement. Like, what is our function in all of this if we are just absorbing their ideas and making them, in quotes, real in whatever this environment is?
So when I look at that, it's kind of like more three-dimensional.
Hmm.
Uh, um, um, uh, Physical versus energetic. So to when I look at them, so I'm like looking at aliens right now. They're like we're more like space
Hmm.
ish. Like they can have like crafts, but they're not the same physical kind of craft. There's something about Earth that creates a growing of the physical
Hmm.
universe. I don't know why we're different in that way, or that we just like grow things on Earth in a very different sense.
Yeah.
It's just it's more tactile for some reason.
Hmm.
Also, like learning and things of that nature, we learn so much faster here
Hmm.
because of strife and because of emotions. Like they don't have that type of thing. It seems very alien oriented,
Hmm.
which is why we
Interesting.
exist differently
Yeah. Well, I mean,
than like aliens do.
I can't speak on the aliens' behalf or what their existences are like, but I know here there's a lot of science right now. Um, Not a lot, maybe it's fringe, but I read a lot of it that is talking about how, like, what we are, what we have evolved to be, if evolution is all true and all the things that we believe scientifically are factual to be factual, we are kind of like these machines designed through hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years of evolution, depending on who you ask, to live in this environment, to
Yeah.
survive in this environment. So our five senses have been developed and honed specifically to avoid threats and to make us able to have more babies or whatever the thing is, whatever the strategy is for you specifically as an organism to survive. And so the thing we're experiencing is not the real thing. Like 100%, that cannot be the case because all of our senses have been designed over time to help us survive. So what you see, what you hear, smell, taste, touch, all of that is completely fake.
Isn't
It
that
is
so weird?
specifically designed to make you survive, and that's it. So whatever the real shit is here, we can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it. We can't. We literally can't. We have evolved out of being able to even do that.
That's so
That to me
wild.
is like fascinating. Yeah. So whether you believe this is like a computer simulation or not is almost irrelevant. Whatever it is, it ain't this. That's 100% sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't
like
know
the
why,
way
but
I see it when you're talking, it's just like graph paper inside of graph paper inside of graph. It's just so
yeah.
weird. Like I don't live in that space. Like I'm going to my kid's football game today. You know what I mean? Like I live in
Yeah,
that
sure.
space. Like,
I
and
I
so it
saw.
does switch into a different brain. And I
Yeah.
don't live in like as soon as I'm done talking about it, I'll like go back and I won't like there I won't care that there was graph paper 5 minutes ago. It's because
Of
you
course.
can't.
Exactly. Like I said, we're existing in this thing, whatever this is, and our senses tell us like that's a car coming at you, step out of the way. Who the hell knows what is actually going on there? Because
Yeah.
I mean, once you just start getting into like the real kind of particle physics of it all, and the Planck length, the Planck scale is something that I think about a lot. Like below a certain size of particle, we cannot see what is there. We can measure nothing beyond a certain uh this thing called the Planck length. I forget exactly what it is, so forgive me. But it's like uh something to the minus 32 or something. It's like the smallest measurement we can do with any of our scientific equipment, and even mathematically, there's nothing below that. So there's like some kind of bottom limit. And then if you
But however, there has to be.
maybe, I mean, we
You know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
That's the whole
Ish.
thing. It's at least a limit to our understanding, if
Right.
not to our measurements, and maybe to reality itself. Um, I think about that constantly, but also it
Poor
doesn't
Chad.
matter. No, I enjoy it, but it also doesn't matter because it's like I said, you got to go to your kid's football game, and it's like, as much as you can kind of pontificate about what all of this actually is and the fundamental nature of reality and what's my purpose and are there aliens and all this shit, you got your kid's football game. And that's the core of like what it is to be human, I think, is
Yep.
this kind of constant grappling with, well, I need to go eat my turkey sandwich today or I won't survive. But also, why am I trying to survive? What is the point of this? Why is there a turkey sandwich? What is a turkey? How do we measure below the plank length? You know, all of these things. And
And
so
why
it
does
gets
it
very
have its
wrapped
own
up.
frequency?
Oh, I was gonna say, I saw some video the other day, and this is also like, um, part of this, at least for me, in what I would consider to be somebody who is relatively new at thinking about these things or attempting these things, is trying to separate, like, is this shit I'm reading about or seeing on YouTube real? Is this a
Right.
crazy person? What is going on here? And I saw this video of a dude who, you got to forgive me, I forget his name now, but you can just Google what I'm about to say, and I'm sure it will come up.
Mm.
He's been on a million podcasts. He is a big proponent of DMT. Have you ever
Mhm.
done DMT, by the way?
Mm-mm.
Me either. God, I want to so bad.
We'll
The
we'll go to some crazy ass Costa Rica retreat and do it together.
well, what I really want to do in England, they're doing these experiments where they're putting people on like an IV drip of DMT and keeping them under for 45 minutes to an hour. And then
Whoa.
they're seeing if when they come out of it, did you go to the same place? You were both
Okay.
under at the same time. Could you communicate with each other while you were in that place? Whatever. But this dude basically said that he was getting downloads while on DMT saying that uh, something was going to be revealed to him essentially.
Mhm.
And through these downloads, he said that he, for whatever reason, came to the conclusion that he needed to get a red laser. I believe it was 650 milliwatts, and shine it on a wall or any
Oh,
flat
I saw
surface.
that.
Okay, so you saw this, and he saw
Yes.
code wherever the
Yes.
laser hits. He sees
Yes.
like matrix
It's
code,
like
and
red, yeah.
to supposedly he's done this same thing to thousands of people, some of whom he said he told what he saw, some of whom he said he told nothing, some of
Yep.
whom he said he told opposite things.
Yeah.
You're just going to see a big black void. Everyone, he
Saw the
says
same thing.
to a person, saw the exact same thing, that is object permanent gears and code, like just behind the surface of whatever the laser is shining on.
That's what
That
I saw when I was in ayahuasca.
no shit. Well,
It
isn't
was all
ayahuasca's DMT? It's the same thing, isn't it?
Is it? No, DMT is different. Ayahuasca is like a root, and DMT is I don't even know what.
Well, I think you can do it in multiple different ways. You can smoke it, inject it, whatever. But my understanding was the active ingredient is the same in those, but I could
Okay,
be
well, then
wrong.
I've done that.
Nice. How
And
was
I could
that?
First night, I was listening to Landslide and Fleetwood Mac in my head and seeing
Yeah.
rainbows flashing, and so you do it 2 nights in a row minimum. That's the good. So with the next day, kind of like you go and you hang out with everybody and you eat a little something, and I didn't throw up.
Mhm.
I just Fleetwood Mac and rainbows. So I go to the meeting with everybody. I'm like, Fleetwood Mac and rainbows. And they all went, yep. And so next day, do my first cup. I'm chilling. I'm laying on the bed. We're like in this house. We're like in an
Uh-huh.
Airbnb on blow up mattresses with like small garbage cans in front of us. This is a wild story. I don't think I've ever talked about this
Okay.
on okay. So calls me up for the second cup, and it's like drinking black barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Like that's phlegmy. Okay. Just to give you the visual. And you drink like
Okay.
a double shot glass of it. I wanted to
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
And so I go up and he's there and he pours the cup. And this is all shaman. Like this guy's from like South America shaman. He's, pours it in and he looks at me. Shit you not. He dumps it back in gets it again, pours it again, blows in it, because the blowing in it is the whole energy vibe, right? And then it hands it to me, and I'm like, I'm going to drink this back at my bed. He's like, don't leave. Drink it in front of me. And I'm like, oh, I am so screwed. So I
Jesus.
drink this, right? Go back to my thing and sit there. So I'm like laying there and I'm like laughing and dancing. Like, so you go through the whole, you kind of like throwing
Yeah.
up or whatever. And I'm like, got the, blah, blah, blah. Got this music maker laying on the bed. It's pitch black. You hear everyone throwing up all around you, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you're so out of it. You don't really care. And then everyone's like, all right, well, if you guys are done, come up and get something to eat. So like half the people get up and leave.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I made it. Oh no. This was the beginning of my night.
Oh, Jesus.
The beginning.
Yeah.
Within seconds, there was a big window next to me. All the trees outside the window completely pixelate. Just pixelate. And they started like showing me my entire body as if I were made out of Legos. And the majority of my body is all the colors of the Legos. And my pinky toe is made of a black Lego. And they're showing me that like you're equal, you have just as much capacity of evil as anyone else on the planet. And sometimes you lean into that evil and that black starts growing up of you, and then it can get smaller. It's just the left or right, good, bad, good, kind, hateful, whatever. And so that black Lego can never, ever go away. This goes back to why the fuck we're here. And so it's kind of this idea of like, what are we doing here? And it's like, are you going to grow the black Lego and it's going to be your whole body is going to be black? Or are you going to make it as small as possible and lean into love, right? Mm-hmm. So now I have thrown up everything I've ever eaten in my entire life. Okay. When I tell you, I'm laying there, like I'm in, like it's like I'm ready to deliver a child. I'm sitting at the edge of this bed and I'm just like this. Help. I'm like, I'm going to die. Like, I know I'm going to die. Like I am, I'm physically dying. And I'm like, help. And so someone comes over and like brings me water. And all of a sudden, it was like this demon entered my body or was coming out. I'm not sure which, right? Mm-hmm. And I scream at the top of my lungs, get me the fucking shaman now. I am screaming. I'm like, you know who I am and I know who you are. I'm going to fucking kill you. And I am just, and he comes and he's standing right in front of me. And when I tell you, I was like a mama bear losing my mind. And he just stands there blank and he walks away and I'm just shredding him. But it's not me. It's like this thing that is just like wanting to be heard. And people, and I go, and then, so like, then I'm like, I need you guys to pray for me. Like, I'm literally begging, pray for me. I'm dying here. But it was like this thing inside of me was dying. And this one guy who was about 5 beds away from me, he is dying in real life. Like he has not much life to live and he's in his 30s. And I said his name and I said, I need you to pray for me. I'm dying. Mm-hmm. And everyone, well after the fact, everyone in that room started praying for me because they knew that whatever it was on and it was happening right then. And this woman came up to me. So like finally they kept bringing me water, which I think they were bringing me Florida water or something because I was just like throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. And then finally I just like didn't have to throw up anymore. It was weird. And like, it was like, I could tell like the air kind of like left the room and like all of everything was normal again. And this woman came up to me and she said, I have sat for ayahuasca over 20 times. I have never in my life seen anything like that. Wow. She goes, you came here to work and you did it. She's like, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And it was intense. And I actually pulled the book for the free next ayahuasca trip. So I have a free pass to go back.
All you had to do
And
was
I'm like,
release a demon.
I don't know if I could take that ever again. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, I probably lost, I'm not even kidding, like 10 pounds in
Yeah.
24 hours. Like,
No, it's
I
crazy. I
was
I've
gone.
I've read a bunch about, like, Terrence McKenna and all the things he did, and that kind of is what leads me to that idea that, like, this physical body is just basically like a machine that's tapping into, like, an antenna, almost tapping into
Yeah.
consciousness or something. Because when you have these experiences where you take a drug, a physical molecule in this thing we're in, and it allows you to have some kind of psychedelic experience or some kind of higher state of consciousness, tap into some other kind of thing. It comes with this physical cost. You're puking, you feel like you're going to die. That,
Die.
like, none of these experiences are 100% pleasant. You know,
No.
if you take, like, what McKenna called the hero dose of mushrooms, 5 dried grams, you're fucked. Like, he talks about his brother doing it and being essentially catatonic for days, and they were like,
Ugh.
"Shit, is he dead? I don't know. Let's hope that he comes back." So these, in terms of at least drugs, controlled substances that we can take to alter our consciousness, to have these, you know, touches with the other side or whatever you wanna call them, it comes at a cost that is, like, detrimental to the machine, to the body that we're in. And that's why I think it's like, I I don't know if, like, are these drugs part of the program? Are they supposed to be here? Are these things that we're just happening upon accidentally and then they become part of spiritual practice? Are they designed to be here specifically? If they are designed, talking about, like, intelligent design, that to me is one of the wildest theories of all time, because I'm like, well, whoever designed all this shit ain't that intelligent. There's a lot of real bad things that, like, why do we have to take shits at all? Who designed that?
Right?
Um, at any rate, I
But if you look at
digress, but
ketamine, right? Like,
mhm,
so like we have a ketamine clinic 5 minutes from my house. It's
yeah,
all like doctors and nurses. And what they're doing basically is they're putting you in a situation that removes you from your ego and lets you see reality,
yeah,
which is that your life's not that bad. None of this freaking matters. All of it matters. Who gives
yeah,
a shit, anyways? Don't be depressed. Don't be anxious. Get out of your PTSD. It's all in your brain.
mhm,
There's a whole experience out there that has nothing to do with your shit, and then come back to reality. And then they keep doing it over and over and over again. And it gets you out of that, again, what I was talking about before, which is I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a
yeah, of
woman, I
course.
am pretty. It gets you out of that ego
Mhm.
shit that I was telling you, that it looks like you have done a lot of work to ascend from. Right? So it's like your
Yeah,
brain on ketamine is kind of like your brain on doing the work without the
mhm.
ketamine, which is recognizing that none of this is real. So stop obsessing about the shit that you're anxious and depressed about. Like, just
Yeah,
be
I
here
mean,
now.
that ketamine stuff though too, like, again, if you do too much of it, you can die. Like,
Literally.
there are these kind of negative consequences to some of these drugs that I feel like are,
You got
I
too
don't know,
close to
like,
the sun.
yeah, is that like a part of the trade-off that you have to fucking walk the edge carefully or you might die? But then that seems to be counter to whatever the purpose of this is. It's like, well, we shouldn't die in that way, should we? If we have to die, shouldn't it be from old age after we've learned all the lessons, or in service of performing some act that is exemplary of whatever the lesson is you're supposed to learn? It seems like dying while overdosing on ketamine or something is just like, oopsie. And I guess whatever, mistakes can be made. But yeah,
But
I don't
don't you
know.
think, as we're talking about this,
Mhm.
okay, if you go through every single day and you touch the stove, right? And you experience the things and you judge and you learn and you judge and you learn
Mhm.
and you screw up and you learn and you hurt people and you say, I don't want to do that anymore. Ketamine is like the cheat code to get to the other side of the ego,
Totally.
wherein experiencing all the things is the long form of going, oh, yeah, I'm just going to love everyone because this whole judgy thing ain't working for me. So, like, the
Mhm.
ketamine peels back, right? The blinders of ego, where when we do the earthly thing, it's just the long format of the ketamine, so we
Mm.
can get there, it just takes longer,
Yeah.
and so it's like, if you wanna cheat, so inside, and this is a weird one, I never expected to see this, the other thing inside of ayahuasca they showed me was using, which is so weird, and this is not anti-feminism. I had like a epidural with all my kids, but they told me while I was under ayahuasca was that not going through the pains of childbirth, I cheated myself by not
Jesus.
experiencing the pains of childbirth. And I was like, which I'm the type of person that's like, get your epidural in the parking lot. Like, do not feel that pain.
Yeah.
And they showed me that there is something about the pain of childbirth that is a rite of passage for a woman. I would have never expected that. And I wouldn't
Wow.
expect any woman to listen to me. You do you. But
Sure.
that's what I was shown. And I was like,
Wow.
what? And so what they're saying, so like back to what you and I are talking about right now, ketamine is the epidural of humanity
Mm.
because you're using the cheat and not going through the everyday trials and tribulations and pain of being a human. You're just like, look, none of it matters. Have
Yeah.
fun. Like, don't be whatever. Whereas the pain of humanity, so there's something about the pain of humanity. Can you get there with ketamine? Can you get there with DMT? Can you get there with ayahuasca? Yes. Or you can do the pain of humanity and learn your lessons slowly. Either way, we're going to get there. I think that this is a fascinating revelation.
Interesting. I mean, I'll say when I first started kind of like, I don't know if this is like completely accurate, but a big part of me kind of shifting to being into all this shit certainly was with some weed.
Mm-hmm.
Not ketamine. If you're out there and you're thinking about doing some kind of a drug to tap into this stuff, weed is maybe a better entryway. But
Right.
I used to play in like this old man baseball league where like it was hardball, and every Sunday we'd go out at 10 a.m. and I'd throw 100 pitches as hard as I could, and I would just be sore as fuck. So I started doing this practice of I would get super high and go get a
Oh my
90-minute deep tissue massage after all my baseball games. And eventually, for some reason, I started listening to binaural beats while I was doing it. And
God, what year was that? How many years ago?
15 maybe.
Same.
Weird.
I started doing binaural beats 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That is freaking crazy. And that is one of the things that really started me on this. It must have been a thing like on YouTube or some shit. I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you said that, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't remember how I came across it
Me
or
neither.
why
It was
I
like on
thought to
YouTube or some
incorporate
shit.
that. But yeah, I did. And then it became like a whole, almost like, talking full circle about like religions and stuff. I made like a little religious practice of it. So I would go into the thing, I would be high. I would go into the little room and I'm taking off my shirt, and I would do this whole mental kind of check down of everything that it took to make this t-shirt from the dawn of humanity to now. Everything from we have to learn how to like grow fibers and weave them into cloth, all the way up to like machine revolution of making industrial clothing, all the way to who made the Old Navy logo, all of these things. And I would take the shirt off and put all that shit aside. And same with the pants and the shoes and whatever. I also am getting frozen when I die, which is a joke to some degree, but I am doing it. And so I would take off my little freezing medallion, which is like my fear of death. I would place that aside. And all these things had like symbolic representation to me of essentially stripping away my identity as I get on the table. And then as you're laying face down. And then as soon as the massage starts, I got to a point where maybe because I was high or because of the binaural beats, I could like trick my brain or whatever into feeling like I'm going through the table and leaving my body on the table basically. And then I'm just swimming around in whatever the fuck pops into my head. And a lot of shit popped into my head. And I still try to do this with some frequency. I used to do it every Sunday, but now time, work, etc., the pandemic kind of fucked up that schedule. But yeah, I highly recommend that for anybody who's just like looking to have a good time.
I had two crazy experiences. My husband and I thought that there was an earthquake in New Jersey. This was probably 2010, maybe. No, it was after that. Anyways, we're laying there and it's the middle of the night and the whole bedroom and bed starts shaking. And so we get up in the morning and there's no whatever. And it happens a few years later, and now it happens to me more often. And what it is my soul re-entering my body. It will shake the entire bed.
Wow. That's
It's
wild.
wild. Like, and Jim's felt it twice.
Yeah.
And I feel it now. You can feel your whole body like start to like this, and it's coming back into
Yes.
your
This
physical
is
body.
fucking wild you say this. This has happened 2 nights ago. I've gotten to a point in Gateway where, again, I don't think I've had a real out-of-body experience yet.
Stop gaslighting yourself.
I'm not gaslighting myself. I based on everything I've read, I know that I haven't, because everybody's like, "You know when it fucking happens." And I haven't known that yet. But I've gotten to, like, there's stages kind of leading into it, one of which is, like, your body vibrating. And I've gotten to that point multiple times where I'm like, "Oh, fuck. What is going on?" You know? Or like an explosion kind of in my head. I've felt multiple of those where you're like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?" A couple nights ago, we're asleep, me and my girlfriend, and she wakes me up and she's like, "Are you okay? The whole bed was shaking." And I was like, "What?" And I was having a dream about I was in a house, laying on a couch, and started to kind of float up. And I was like, "Fuck, I think I was about to have an out-of-body experience." And she woke me up. She
Because
ruined
you
it.
were
No, she didn't. But yeah, I had a similar experience
see? I'm
where I
telling you,
woke
and
her
it
up with my violent shaking.
yes, yes, and it's not your body moving.
Yeah.
It's literally like your soul leaving and entering your physical body and trying to incorporate itself back into the physical. Because Jim's like, holy shit, like he was like, we just had an earthquake.
Yeah.
Totally didn't have an earthquake. It was that.
Exactly. It's like starting a car that won't start. It's like,
Yes.
and then the
Yes.
engine starts. I
And you're
firmly
like,
believe that. And
yeah.
so, like,
See, but no one talks about this, so no one knows that other people are doing it.
yeah, and I think we, like, again, I just go back to that thing of dreams. We all have them. We all do this. And there's some mechanism in our bodies, in this fucking machine, that, like, when we have our dream and we come back, like you're saying, we don't quite remember it, we don't connect to it, exactly as we do while we're having it. Sometimes you can have that emotional resonance if it was like a particularly sad or happy
Yeah.
or whatever dream, but you don't remember the specifics of it like you were there, generally speaking. Sometimes you do if you're awakened in the middle of it or whatever. But I just think it's so fucking insane to me
We're
that
not tapping
Western
into it.
science has just ignored dreams.
Yeah.
You have a couple of, like, famous
It's just woo-woo.
psychiatrists who talk about, dream interpretation or
Yeah.
whatever, but yeah, it's like, it's bizarre to me that, like, every one of us is 100% awake in our dreams, and we are not discussing this in any way. It's just bizarre.
Look at
Oh, shit, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, of course. Is it I was gonna say, is it 11 o'clock here? Can you see me now? Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
I can. Now I can.
Okay, good. But yeah, like when your little kids have dreams of flying because they're astral traveling, we as we get older stop dreaming that because we don't think we can fly.
Yeah.
We don't think like our dreams also change as we get older based on our egos, based on what we believe can happen and
Yeah.
what's possible.
My first memory of a dream ever, when I was a tiny, I don't even know how old I was, under 5, and I have this memory pretty clearly still, was being abducted by aliens. And I have that recurring dream a lot.
Stop it.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
I've
as
never
I'm
had that dream.
I have it constantly. And now
Stop.
I'm like, as I'm kind of like coming into all this stuff and messing around with Gateway and all this shit, I'm like, is there more to this?
What color eyes do you have?
Bluish, I guess.
Mine are green. I'm RH negative with green eyes, and like that's like a whole like other weird shit, I
What's
guess. Like
RH negative?
it's like the Rhesus monkey. Like I shouldn't exist.
Oh,
Like
wow. Okay.
my blood type, like basically my blood type, I have to get shots and then before I deliver and then after I deliver because otherwise my body will make up an antibody that will like abort my next baby. Like so
Oh,
I should only
Jesus.
be able to have one baby because
Yeah.
as soon as that baby is born, my body creates an antibody to abort the next baby or miscarry the next child.
Oh, wow.
And so like my blood type is like they say it's like of aliens and shit like that anyways. And then like green eyes, like I'm not supposed to have green eyes. Like there's a whole thing on all of this stuff. But see, like this
Hmm.
is the thing. Like my girlfriend, She does all her business planning in her dreams. It's like she can be very aware and focused on what she wants to dream about and what she wants to plan, and then she
Yeah.
wakes up and she remembers all of it. Like, she is very cognizant of her dreams. Um but that's why they say you should write them down. And like, obviously
Yeah.
Prince, and he was very like into his dreams and like, okay, this is
Oh, me too. Yeah. I definitely have shit in my dreams that I wake up like with a song in my head or
oh,
something like a
songs.
book that I've been working on. And I'm like, fuck that scene. There it is. And then I
There it
just go
is.
write it. And certainly when I'm doing those high massages, I almost exclusively use that to work now. I just kind of live in whatever project I'm working on and work out all the shit. I come out of it, I take my notes, and then move on to the next.
Because
But that,
there's no structure. There's no
yeah,
no. You're in a dream. So you can go
exactly.
yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then you can go yes, 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 and it's all possible, and there's no
Yeah.
ego to get in the way of, you can't do that. Or that doesn't make sense, or that's stupid. Like, you
No,
don't
totally.
have that.
Totally. And I also found it like incredibly helpful to just work on personal shit. Like the kind of like little methodology that I used to use. Um, Now I can just kind of like get there almost instantaneously and don't even really have to be high to get into that kind of weird flow state. But the
Yes.
methodology that I used to use was pass through the table, leave the body behind. Now you're floating in a big black void. And then I would always force some kind of like pinpoint of light to start coming toward me. And I
See,
would just be
I'm
like,
doing it.
what is that thing? But I mean, this was just me making shit up. Like I
No, you're
assume
not.
this was coming from my subconscious, whatever
Dude,
what it was, you know.
that is what Einstein said. He's like, your imagination is everything. Like, what
Mhm.
you're doing is it. That's
Hmm.
it. That's the thing. Like, I think it's my imagination, but through working with this, like when you were talking to me before, I'm like, okay, they're here. It feels like my imagination, but through years of doing this, I can feel the room shift.
Sure.
Like you said, that shift is now a new influx of energy that wasn't in the room before, that now I'm like, okay, this isn't coming from me. This isn't in my reality. This is the thing that
Yeah.
this is the thing. You're doing the thing.
No, I've had, like I said, certain experiences where specifically when I had cancer and the first time that I had sleep paralysis and I saw like literal fucking creatures looking at me in my bedroom. It wasn't like, I mean, I had heard of sleep paralysis and I knew basically what it was. Everybody makes jokes about the sleep paralysis demon, and here I have some. But it wasn't for me like I wasn't scared or anything. I was actually kind of enthralled by it. Like, fuck,
Right.
this is crazy. Here it
This is,
is.
yeah, it
And I
happened.
stared these fuckers down. I looked right into the glowing eyes and I was like, don't leave, basically. I want to talk to you or whatever may come from this. And it was a standard kind of sleep paralysis experience. I think they lingered there for maybe 10 or 15 seconds until I came into like full consciousness, and then they just like dissipated. And I've had similar experiences since then throughout the years with less malevolent looking creatures. I had
Good.
one recently that was like I basically went into a gateway thing and I just kind of put out there like, I'm ready. If you're out there,
Mhm.
make yourself known. Let's fucking do this. And then nothing happened. I went to sleep that night and I woke up the next morning, and these things usually materialize like in a similar kind of spot in my bedroom. And I opened my eyes and there standing there was this thing looking right at me. And I was like, that is fucking crazy. What is that? It looked almost like some kind of Native American, almost like, I don't know if you know what a Kachina doll is, but it looked a little bit like one of them. And I know
Mhm.
nothing about any of that lore. I know nothing about that culture, but I just knew that it felt like that. So I just started Googling around and I found the exact thing that I saw. It was a Hopi morning dancer, this deity in the Hopi Indian culture.
Does it
That
have
was
like
like,
fur, like a first, like, is it a guy with like fur on the bottom and then like fur like a top by chance?
no, it is like kind of sundial of feathers around the head and almost like a
Okay.
bird beak kind of
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
face.
yeah.
But I Googled it, found that image, and I was like, "What? This is exactly what it was." There are like thousands of these different entities that all have, you know, at least on the internet, these kind of representations visually of what they look like. And I sifted through them all until I found this exact one. I was like, "This is fucking crazy." And I read what it was, and it's like this spirit that the Hopi believe shows up in the mornings to kind of wake you up gently into your day and say you're going to have a good day. And I'm like, what the fuck? That thing was in my goddamn bedroom looking at me after I asked just into the universe. Like,
yeah,
if you're
watch
out
out what
there,
you ask for, right?
come fuck with me. I'm ready, you know? Yeah, it was just awesome. And I've seen other, you know, creature type things manifest in that same time when I'm just waking up and
Yes,
I'm
that's
not
when you're in
quite
alpha.
there. And it's like, oh, there's something looking at me. And I tell my girlfriend this shit. And she's like,
Yes.
don't bring entities in the bedroom.
She's got a point. But that's like, so when you study Dolores Cannon and the
Yeah.
QHHT, you are hypnotized when you're watching TV, when you're driving, when you're waking up, and when you're going to sleep. So that is when I started doing mediumship stuff, is like when you're just, when your ego's not quite with you yet, and you're just starting to wake up, that's when spirit visits you.
Yeah.
Because you haven't really figured out your ego for the day yet. You haven't really entered into your physical body. And that's when you're like coming back to this damn ego, physical 3D reality, brain, consciousness, subconsciousness, all the things. And so when you're waking up, that is the time when you get the songs and you get the downloads and you're kind of like in between two worlds, which is like, I mean, it's just so amazing. But I think that that's why all this is like, I don't know if the word is starting to happen, because I mean, I'm sure that native people have been playing with this for thousands of years, and
All
we're just
cultures
kind
have.
of hip to it now.
But I mean, I even think there's like Christian accounts of saints and stuff being visited by angels or
Yeah.
bilocating. There are a couple of saints that are like famous for basically saying that they are existing in two places simultaneously, which is
Yeah.
like astral projection, you know.
Yeah.
And because this religion perceives those things to potentially exist or not, or be demonic, or whatever the case may be, they position it as like you're communing with angels or you're a saint or whatever. Then this culture positions it as you're a shaman who is doing this and whatever. I think humanity has been able to do these kinds of things for a very long time with the assistance of drugs in some cases. In some cases, it's just like kind of mental, spiritual, meditative practice. And I don't know that we're doing like more of it now. I think because the internet exists, the stories are able to be shared, the practices, the techniques are able to be shared in a much broader way. And maybe that's, allowing more people at least the idea that you can do this too. And so more people are trying it in that regard.
Yeah.
But there's some piece of me too that feels like this is all we used to do back in the day. And somewhere along the kind of technological developmental path of humanity, we have fallen away from that. That kind of like hardcore materialist scientific view of reality has really stripped away, I think, a lot of people's innate belief that this type of stuff is even possible. I was one of those people. And you have to like come back to it through a personal experience that you can't explain, or curiosity, or maybe science pulls the veil back a little bit. And you're like, wait a minute, what are they doing with quantum entanglement? What the fuck is that? That maybe everything is made of one subatomic particle that's just bouncing around so fast, no one
We
can see
can't
it,
see the
but we're
difference.
all that particle. Those kinds of ideas that come from science are, I guess, initially what led me down this path. And now I feel like I'm just swimming around in as much of it as I can, not really knowing anything about it and just seeing what happens, which is fun, I think.
Have you ever done breath work?
I tried to do it. My girlfriend took me to a sound bath. God, this is maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. And I think just the environment wasn't conducive for me because it was a room full of people like screaming and stuff.
Oh.
And
Yeah. Like at
I
the end.
can't,
Yeah.
yeah, that for me, I don't do well with like a lot of outside stimulation. I need to be kind of like isolated, I think,
Kind
to
of,
tap into any of that shit.
yeah, inside of self, not distracted. Like squirrel. Oh,
Yeah,
yelling.
exactly.
Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
But no, at the beginning of it, I was starting to definitely feel a little lightheaded and weird.
I'll tell you what, when I did breath work one time, like it took me, like it was like being, like it was wild. I think it was, and I had a healer guy reach out to me, which is a whole nother conversation. But he always said, like, stay away from like drugs, alcohol, use breath work, use self-hypnosis. He taught me how to
Mm.
do self-hypnosis, which is where I did a lot of my own personal past life regressions. And then you come out of that and then you write down what you see.
Mhm.
And it's exactly like astral travel. But I'm so excited that you just had this shaking thing and that your girlfriend felt it. Like, that's
Yeah.
so freaking
She
crazy.
woke me up. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? What's going on?" The whole bed was shaking. No, 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 no. Thought we were in an earthquake.
See,
Yeah.
you're doing it. You're
Kind of.
doing it.
But not, I think I'm on the threshold of actually doing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it starts and if you want to practice it, like all you do is like just sit here and just in your mind's eye imagine walking down to the kitchen and like I said,
Mm.
open up the refrigerator, feel the cold air. Like that's practicing clairvoyance. That's clairsentience and all those like
Sure.
feeling and seeing. Practice hearing your dad's voice or your mom's voice in your ear. That's practicing clairaudience. Like all these things we're doing. Like you can go back to like your childhood home and like feel the carpeting.
Yeah. It's weird you're saying this. Now I'm like going back to my own childhood memories, and I think I might have been doing some of this shit as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember we would always take these trips from we lived at the time in Amarillo, Texas, and my grandparents lived in Kansas. So we'd always take trips on the holidays and stuff to drive up to them. And I remember specifically there was one trip where my Walkman ran out of battery, so I couldn't listen to Duran
Mm.
Duran. So I just started playing it in my head, like crystal clear, note for note, word for word, and found that I could do that, that I could just listen to music in my head as though I was hearing it.
That's
And
crazy awesome.
I've always really been able to do it, I guess, since that point. But yeah, in retrospect, like I didn't know that that was like weird or that like
Right.
everybody wasn't just listening to music in their head on a 24-hour a day cycle. But yeah, maybe that was a piece of this to some degree. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can play that's the beauty of it. It's like it's all personal. You can play with it, you can touch things in your mind's eye, like, what
Yeah.
does ice feel like? What does hot feel like? Like, instantly, your whole body can feel like what it felt like to touch a hot pan,
Hmm.
and the way it jolts down your arm and you pull away, like, all of the experiences, and you haven't touched anything. That's a form of astral travel, is you went
Mm.
there, you touched your childhood bedroom floor, you touched your childhood kitchen, countertop or whatever, and the way it feels, if it's nubby, if it's not smooth, what the edge is made
Mhm.
out of. Like, all of that is imagination, but how'd you get there? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But you went there, you can feel it. All of that practice helps in exactly what you're doing so that you can go and just get used to that imagery in your brain or those sounds in your brain, the feelings, the temperature, the personality, imagining, someone's personality. Like, that's what I'm really good at when it comes to mediumship, is like I can, like, oh, they were super funny. Like, I can feel their personality,
Mhm.
and I think that helps when you're meeting someone. Like, you can instantly meet someone and know if they're your vibe or not. You're like, yeah, not my
Totally.
vibe.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that is. Like, my husband, quick before we go, because I know you have like 7 minutes here. When my husband and I were dating, I went to visit him. He was working in Philly, and we were dating at the time, and we stayed at this hotel next to where he was working because he didn't have a house yet, so we had housing, and we were sleeping like weird, like our heads were like touching oddly. Dating, now we're on the opposite
Yeah,
sides of a
different
king
rooms.
bed. Totally, like, I don't even know he's in the room now.
Yeah.
But I woke up and I was like, holy shit. He's like, what? And I'm like, I just had the craziest fucking dream. He's like, what? And I'm like, we were driving and it was like we were in the middle of like a desert, but there were like hills and there was like all of these tornadoes everywhere. But there was this one big tornado and like I could see the tornado and there was all these small tornadoes. And he looked at me and he goes, I just had the same dream.
Holy shit.
And
Wild.
he's like a guy, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, he's a guy that would be like, oh my gosh, I really hope you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you a glass of water. He's not like, he's from Iowa. He's not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
like he's just like, and to this day, we will still talk about it 20 years later about
Yeah.
the shared tornado dream, because it was probably the beginning of the walk of the path that I'm on right now,
Yeah.
because it was like, how do we share a dream? Like, we
Totally.
really did.
But that
It's
types of shit happens all the time. And that's what I'm saying,
what?
like, how at this point, how can we deny this stuff? I used to deny that type of thing my whole life. Like, had you told me that when I was 25, I'd be like, this is bullshit. She's
Right.
making it up or whatever.
Right.
But it's like, A, why would anyone make these types of things up? And B, accounts like this have been occurring throughout human history forever. So it's
Weird.
just kind of like the volume of personal accounts of stories like this to me at this point is undeniable.
It's undeniable.
I just don't know how like any kind of credible person can completely discount these experiences that are happening outside what we perceive to be the prescribed physical reality that we all live in. And I think science is finally kind of starting to come around on that
Yeah.
a little bit. A little bit.
A little
There's
bit.
still like plenty of scientists who discount it all, but certainly there's something else going on here. And I guess for me, if I have any final thoughts, it's like I'm now fully ready, willing, and even attempting to tap into that shit just out of curiosity, if nothing else.
The teacher appears, right?
Yeah.
The teacher appears, and then you just keep going, and then another teacher appears, and you find out more. And I'm so glad you're willing to come back and talk spirituality after our political chaos. I did see you.
I love this stuff.
I know, it's so fun. I did see you on your podcast, or at least a clip of you having a conversation about spirituality, and you're like, there's more than this. And I was like, he's going there. Your dad's going to be like, we're full of shit.
You have to, especially when your parents start getting old and are like, my mom, I think, is like more spiritual than my dad by a long ways, but my dad is just like locked into the physicality of this world, and detrimentally so. So I always feel like if I can crack that a little bit, I'm helping him in what effectively are the final years of his life.
Yeah. I think it's huge. It's huge for me. Like when my grandma died in 2017, and we were driving from Florida to Chicago to move here, and I went to sleep, and I had a dream of my grandma, and she was standing in front of me, and she was perfect. She was full figured again, and her hair was in her bouffant. Like the last time I saw her, it was like just wet and kind of to her head, and she was more frail. And in my dream, she was all put back together. And I woke up, and my mom had texted me, "Grandma died last night."
Wild.
And I was like, she's put back together. Like, and I give myself once a year to like cry about her and be sad and miss her in the human reality. But I'm like, it is such a blessing to me and to my clients that, or people that are open to hearing that, like, go, I'm not going to die and go in a box in the ground or be frozen and that's what I am or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That you're just being reborn somewhere else. And that maybe it's for the people that need that peace. Maybe it's to help it make sense of like why, like, is that there is more and whatever. But it gave me so much peace to like see my grandma like that and know that she's just born somewhere else. She's on the other side of the window, and I just have to live with her in a new way. She's not here, but she's here somewhere. And like, I don't know, you can tap into that. And I think that's so cool. But I so appreciate you coming back on.
My pleasure. Anytime.
It's the best. I love it. And thanks for doing what you do on your other, The Necessary podcast. If you guys haven't checked them out yet.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride. Very different than this. But it's probably one of the only clips on TikTok that I will sit there and watch from beginning to end and not like scroll. Like your dad's kind of like Howard Stern. Even though I don't like what he talks about, I'm willing to listen to the shit that he has to say. So I will stay on just to hear it.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, for anybody out there, if you're curious about how MAGA voters basically perceive the world and their relationships and all this kind of stuff, that's primarily what that podcast is. Yeah. It's me and my sister, who are both very liberal, talking to each of our parents who are both very MAGA about politics, and just kind of letting them air their opinions. Because I think for a lot of people who live in a liberal kind of world with liberal friends and liberal family, people voted for Trump, but you don't actually know why they did that or how they think. And I think that's kind of like, it's an important window to open in service of what you're talking about, just understanding each other on a better level, especially the people that you disagree with at a very kind of core level of your identity.
And Chad asks all the right questions, and he's so neutral and so generous. So generous. So generous. But all right, guys, I will see you all here next week. Thanks again, Chad, for being on. Check him out on the Necessary Conversation. He's amazing. All right, guys, see you later. Thanks for listening. If you would like to connect on a more personal level, head over to meredythwillits.com or on Instagram at Meredyth with a Y for behind-the-scene footage and outtakes. Please subscribe and come back each week for more Meredyth with a Y. Thanks again for listening.